They were towering behemoths, freakishly tall, unbelievably strong, and at times downright terrifying. From the 685-pound colossus giant Hastax to the unstoppable Strong, moving with the agility of a man half his size, these wrestling giants shattered logic, defied physics, and crushed their opponents with sheer dominance. Some inspired awe, others struck fear, but all left crowds speechless. Get ready to step into the ring with 20 wrestling titans so unreal, you'll question if they were even human. How does a 600-pound man become one of the most beloved wrestlers in history? You look at Hastax Calhoun, the barefoot, overall-wearing powerhouse who turned sheer size into pure charm. Born William D. Calhoun in small-town Texas, he tipped the scales at over 600 pounds, a true giant even among giants. But it wasn't just his size that drew fans in. It was his gentle heart and easy smile. From the 1950s through the 70s, he packed arenas nationwide, often in thrilling tag team matches. With denim overalls, a giant horseshoe around his neck, and country-strong charisma, he made the crowd roar. Outside the ring, he was as genuine as he seemed, kind, generous, and unforgettable. Think wrestling is just a Western sport? The Great Khali shattered that idea the moment he stepped into a WWE ring. Born Dalip Singh Rana, this 7'1", 350-pound powerhouse brought raw strength and fierce intensity from India to the global stage. Before wrestling, he served in the Punjab Police, already famed for his incredible power. In 2006, he debuted in WWE and fearlessly targeted The Undertaker. Pure guts. Just a year later, he made history as the first Indian-born WWE World Heavyweight Champion, inspiring millions back home. His devastating Punjabi plunge left opponents motionless, but outside the ring, Khali was humble, funny, and even a Bollywood star. Today, he's training future wrestling talent in India, leaving a legacy far beyond his own career. No one ever looked at Giant Silva and thought, yeah, he blends in. At 7'2" and over 380 pounds, this Brazilian giant was impossible to miss, whether in a wrestling ring, an MMA cage, or even on the Olympic basketball court. If for the body slams, Paulo César Silva was repping Brazil at the 1988 Olympics, throwing down slam dunks instead of opponents. But in the late 90s, he made a wild pivot to wrestling, joining WWE, then WWF, as part of the Oddities, a bizarre, over-the-top faction, more about chaos than gold. His massive frame, mixed with a surprisingly lovable personality, made him unforgettable. After WWE, Silva stepped into MMA, facing giants like Akabono and Choi Hong Man. Wins or not, his sheer presence made jaws drop. Wherever he went, all eyes followed. Picture this. You're in a packed arena. The lights drop, flames explode from the stage, and through the smoke emerges a 7', 320-pound, masked monster. That's Kane, one of the most fearsome giants to ever step into a wrestling ring. Real name Glenn Jacobs, Kane stormed onto the WWE scene in 1997, instantly etching his name into history by tearing the door off Hell in a Cell to confront The Undertaker. Dressed in his iconic red and black mask, he wasn't just a competitor, he was a nightmare come to life. His legendary brother versus brother saga with The Undertaker became one of wrestling's greatest stories, but Kane's dominance extended to every top star in WWE. For over 2 decades, he shifted from monstrous villain to comedic tag partner, from brutal title matches to unforgettable moments that kept fans guessing. And in a twist no one saw coming, the man who once set arenas ablaze traded the ring for politics. Now serving as the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, When Giant Gonzalez stepped into the ring, the world stopped. At a staggering 8 feet tall, he wasn't just big for wrestling, he was big for humanity. Born Jorge Gonzalez in Argentina, he first chased basketball glory, even getting drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in 1988. But health issues ended his NBA dreams before they began. Wrestling saw what basketball lost, a once-in-a-lifetime presence. Debuting in WCW as El Gigante, he battled legends like Ric Flair, but it was his shocking 1993 WWE Royal Rumble debut that etched his name in history, eliminating The Undertaker without even being an official entrant. His career was short, ending in 1995, but his towering frame and unforgettable aura left fans in awe. He was a true giant, inside the ring and in memory. How big do you have to be to stare down Andre the Giant and not blink? Enter Big John Studd, one of the few men in wrestling history who had the size, power, and sheer confidence to do it. Standing an imposing 6'10" and weighing 364 pounds, Studd was a force in wrestling's golden boom of the 1980s. A man who turned every match into a spectacle. His legendary rivalry with Andre became the stuff of wrestling lore, centered on one burning question: who was the true giant of professional wrestling? That feud gave us the unforgettable $15,000 Body Slam Challenge at the very first WrestleMania, where Andre finally hoisted Studd into the air, slammed him down, and ignited the crowd. But Studd was no one-match wonder. He battled icons like Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy, and even claimed victory in the 1989 Royal Rumble. Big John Studd wasn't just tall. He stood head and shoulders above his era as a giant who helped define wrestling's most iconic decade. What do you call a man so massive, so legendary, that even wrestling's biggest stars looked small beside him? You call him Andre the Giant. Born André René Roussimoff in the French countryside, he was anything but ordinary. Diagnosed with acromegaly, his body never stopped growing, reaching a staggering 7'4" and over 500 pounds of pure presence. He began wrestling in the 60s, conquering the globe. But when he hit WWE in the 70s and 80s, he became the eighth wonder of the world. Undefeated for nearly 15 years, his most iconic moment came at WrestleMania 3 in 1987. 93,000 fans watching as Hulk Hogan slammed him in a moment etched in history. His size brought fame, but also hardship. Yet no one has ever filled a ring, or our hearts, like Andre. How often do you see a man nearly 7 feet tall move with the speed and agility of someone half his size? That's exactly what makes Big Cass, real name William Morrissey, so unforgettable. Standing a legit 6'10" and weighing over 270 pounds, he's not just a towering presence, he's a skyscraper with serious skill. Cass first lit up WWE alongside Enzo Amore, blending brute force with surprising agility and delivering high-impact matches night after night. But his journey wasn't without struggles. After stepping away and battling personal demons, he roared back as W. Morrissey and now dominates AEW as Big Bill. With crushing big boots, bone-rattling chokeslams, and a presence that commands silence the moment he enters, Big Cass isn't just tall. He's a comeback story in motion. No one in modern wrestling embodied the giant role quite like Paul White, better known as Big Show. Standing 7 feet tall and weighing over 400 pounds, he wasn't just big, he was a walking force of nature. Born with acromegaly, a rare condition causing extreme growth, doctors operated early to slow it, yet he still became one of wrestling's largest and most dominant athletes. Debuting in WCW as the Giant in 1995, he shocked the world by winning the World Heavyweight Championship in his very first match. By 1999, he was in WWE, racking up world titles, tag titles, and even hardcore gold. What made him truly special? He could be the terrifying monster one night and the hilarious, lovable giant the next, staying relevant for decades in a business where giants rarely last. Some wrestlers walk into WWE. Braun Strowman came crashing in like a wrecking ball you couldn't stop. Standing 6 feet 8 inches and weighing 380 pounds, Adam Scherr brought raw, unshakable power from his days as a strongman champion, lifting cars, flipping trucks, turning the impossible into a warm-up. Debuting as part of the eerie Wyatt family, it didn't take long for him to break out on his own, and once he did, chaos was guaranteed. From tossing Roman Reigns like a rag doll to literally flipping an ambulance, he earned the nickname the Monster Among Men. In 2020, he proved it wasn't just muscle, winning the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. His shocking 2022 return after a brief release sent fans into a frenzy. Pure goosebump territory. When you think of WWE giants, your mind might go to legends of the past, but Omos is rewriting that story right now. Standing an incredible 7 foot 3 inches and weighing over 400 pounds, he's a force you can't ignore. Born Tolulope Jordan Omogbihen in Lagos, Nigeria, he brought elite athleticism from his college basketball days at South Florida and Morgan State. His size is jaw-dropping, but it's the way he moves, fast, smooth, almost unreal, that sets him apart. WWE first introduced him as AJ Styles' towering bodyguard, but at WrestleMania 37, he stepped into the spotlight, winning the Raw Tag Team Championship in his debut match. Since then, he's battled giants like Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, proving he's more than hype. He's the future, carrying his Nigerian pride onto the world stage. Some giants don't just tower over opponents. They command the room with pure presence, and Robert Mayett, known to wrestling fans as Kurgan, was exactly that. Standing 6'10", with a rugged frame and an ice-cold glare, he stormed into the wild chaos of late 90s WWF's Attitude Era and refused to be overlooked. Debuting as part of the Intense Truth Commission, he later joined the Oddities, where fans saw his unpredictable side. One moment crushing foes with his signature Iron Claw, the next dancing in the ring with a crew of colorful misfits. It was bizarre, it was unexpected, and it worked. After wrestling, Mayett didn't fade away. He exploded onto Hollywood screens, brawling with Robert Downey Jr. in Sherlock Holmes and wielding a sword in 300. From wrestling's chaos to epic film battles, his transformation was nothing short of legendary. Why did Nathan Jones's wrestling career feel like a blockbuster that ended before the final act? At 6 feet 11 inches and 330 pounds, he had the look, the presence, and a backstory fit for legend. Born in Australia, his early life took a dark turn, serving time for armed robbery in one of the nation's most notorious prisons, earning the name the Colossus of Bago Road. After turning his life around, he dominated in powerlifting before WWE signed him in the early 2000s, hyping him as an unstoppable force. Paired with The Undertaker for WrestleMania 19, the stage was set for greatness, but last-minute changes and behind-the-scenes struggles cut his run short. Walking away from WWE, Jones reinvented himself in Hollywood, stealing scenes in Mad Max Fury Road, Troy, and The Protector, proving that while his wrestling chapter was brief, his larger-than-life story was far from over. Who was the true colossus of wrestling, the man who could make an arena tremble just by stepping through the curtain? That was Martin Ruane, better known as Giant Hastax. Towering at 6'11" and weighing an earth-shaking 685 pounds, he wasn't just a wrestler, he was a living spectacle. Born in Camberwell, London in 1946 to Irish parents, Ruane grew up in Salford and worked as a laborer and nightclub bouncer before entering the ring in 1967 as Luke McMasters. In the 1970s, he became Giant Hastax, a name inspired by Hastax Calhoun, and his legendary rivalry with Big Daddy electrified UK wrestling. His fame crossed borders, wrestling in Canada as the Loch Ness Monster, and in WCW's Dungeon of Doom. Off the mat, Ruane was a devoted Catholic, marrying his childhood sweetheart Rita at 17 and raising 3 sons. A true giant in every sense. Ever seen a 6'9" mountain of muscle storm into the ring with a glare that could freeze you in place? That was Sid Vicious, real name Sid Vicious. A wrestling giant who didn't just look intimidating, he radiated pure chaos. At over 300 pounds, Sid wasn't just tall, he was explosive, moving with the kind of sudden power that made crowds erupt. Whether he was Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, or Psycho Sid, one thing stayed the same: he was unpredictable, dangerous, and completely unshakable. His wild, unblinking intensity kept opponents guessing, and when he hit that devastating powerbomb, you didn't just hear the thud, you felt it. From WWE to WCW to ECW, Sid racked up world championships, headlined massive events, and left a trail of battered rivals in his wake. Sid didn't just wrestle, he ruled through fear. What do you get when you combine a jaw-dropping 7'7" frame, a brief NBA career, a run in the squared circle, and a life-changing journey to the pulpit? You get Max Palmer, better known to wrestling fans as Paul Bunyan, one of the tallest professional wrestlers in history. Palmer didn't just stand out, he towered over everyone. When he stepped into the ring, opponents didn't just look smaller, they looked like they were facing a skyscraper. Born in Mississippi, Palmer first made waves on the basketball court, using his size to dominate the paint in a short NBA stint. But in wrestling, as Paul Bunyan, he became a true spectacle, a living giant whose reach could block the sun and whose presence you could feel from the cheap seats. How do you blend towering size with effortless cool and still have the wrestling world hanging on your every move? That was Diesel, better known as Kevin Nash, one of wrestling's most unforgettable giants. Standing 6'10" and weighing over 300 pounds, Nash wasn't just big, he was smooth. In the mid-90s, he exploded onto the WWE scene as Diesel, a no-nonsense enforcer who evolved into a world champion, delivering devastating powerbombs and sharp, confident promos that made him impossible to ignore. But the real game-changer came when he jumped to WCW and co-founded the New World Order. With Black and White, how do you create a legacy so powerful it stretches over 3 decades in a business where most careers fade in 5? You become The Undertaker. At 6 feet, 10 inches tall, and over 300 pounds, Mark Calaway wasn't just another big man. He was an icon who blended raw power with an aura of pure mystique. From the moment that eerie gong echoed in 1990 and he emerged with that slow, haunting walk, eyes rolled back, he owned the arena. His deadman persona sent chills down spines, but behind the darkness was an athlete who could move like someone half his size. Then there was the streak, 21 straight WrestleMania victories, conquering giants like Big Show and technical greats like Shawn Michaels. His battles with Kane, Mankind, Triple H, and Brock Lesnar weren't just matches. They were moments etched into wrestling history. The Undertaker didn't need to speak. One raised hand could send 20,000 people into stunned silence. Is it raw power that makes a legend, or the way someone can light up living rooms and capture the heart of a nation? That was Big Daddy, born Shirley Crabtree, a true icon of British wrestling. Standing 6'6" and weighing over 300 pounds, he wasn't the tallest or heaviest giant, but his larger-than-life charisma made him unforgettable. With flashy robes, silver hair, and a booming personality, Big Daddy ruled British TV in the 70s and 80s, turning Saturday afternoons into must-see events. His brute strength and showmanship won over children, parents, and grandparents alike. Whether battling his colossal rival, Giant Hastax, or thrilling crowds with his energy, Big Daddy wasn't just a wrestler. He was a national treasure. How often do you meet a man who stood 7'5", crushed opponents in the ring, and terrified audiences on the big screen? That was Gary Robbins, a true Canadian giant in every sense. Known to wrestling fans as the Canadian Giant, Robbins brought a mythical presence to the sport, his towering frame commanding attention the moment he stepped through the ropes. Born in St. Catharines, Ontario, he wasn't just built for wrestling. Hollywood wanted him too. His sheer size and intimidating look landed him roles in cult horror hits like Humongous and Wrong Turn, where just like in the ring, his silence spoke louder than words. In the 80s and 90s, at 380 pounds, he was the kind of opponent most wrestlers didn't want to see across the mat, because just getting him off his feet was a victory in itself.